You want six-pack abs, and you want them without ever stepping foot in a gym? But before you start imagining some magical workout fairy dropping abs into your stomach overnight, let's get one thing straight. These exercises are going to work if you do them consistently, with proper form, and you're eating like someone who actually wants abs. No skipping that last part. You can't out-crunch a bad diet no matter how many reps you do. All right, let's jump into the 6 secret moves that are going to turn your living room into an ab factory. All right, let's talk about this whole form beats reps thing, because honestly, this is where most people get it wrong. And it's also why their abs never look like the shredded magazine cover version they keep pinning on their vision boards. You've seen it. Someone decides they're going to finally get abs, drops down to the floor, and starts hammering out sit-ups at lightning speed. Their shoulders are swinging, their feet are flailing, and their lower back is doing something that would make a chiropractor cry. And then they wonder why, after 500 reps, their abs feel about as worked as their eyelids. Spoiler alert, they're not actually hitting the muscles properly. When it comes to abs, speed is your enemy, and control is your best friend. Think of it like this. If you were sculpting a statue, would you just swing a hammer wildly in hope it looks like Michelangelo's David? No. You'd make slow, deliberate strikes, paying attention to every detail. Your abs need that same craftsmanship. Every rep you do is an opportunity to send a very clear message to your core. Hey, you, tighten up, brace, and move me through this exact range of motion. But if you're bouncing around like a toddler on a sugar high, you're just teaching your abs how to be lazy. Controlled reps are harder, no question. That's why people avoid them. A set of 10 perfectly executed reverse crunches might feel like 50 sloppy ones, because in those 10, you're keeping constant tension on the muscle. Your lower abs aren't getting that micro break they sneak during bad form. They're on, they're working, and they're screaming at you to stop. That's the point. Pain, the good kind, means you're doing it right. Another huge thing here is the mind-muscle connection. If you're just counting reps, your brain checks out after the first few, but if you're locked in, actually feeling your abs pull you into the movement and lower you back down under control, your workout quality skyrockets. The mind-muscle connection isn't some mystical bodybuilding fairy dust. It's just focus. When your brain is actively engaging the right muscle, your nervous system sends stronger signals, more fibers fire, and you get more stimulus from every rep. More stimulus equals more adaptation, which in the land of abs means deeper cuts and better definition. And let's clear up a myth. Going slow doesn't mean you're not working hard. In fact, it's the opposite. Try doing a plank where you slowly lift one hand off the floor and reach forward without letting your hips shift even a millimeter. You'll discover muscles you didn't know existed, and they'll all be very, very unhappy with you. That's the beauty of controlled movement. You can make even easy exercises brutal just by removing momentum and forcing your core to do the heavy lifting. Tempo is another big player in this game. Most people only think about reps and sets, but tempo, how fast or slow you move, is like the secret seasoning that takes a workout from meh to wow. For abs, a slower, eccentric, the lowering phase is gold. Let's take flutter kicks as an example. You could slap your legs up and down like a penguin on ice, or you could lower each leg slowly, keeping your back glued to the floor, feeling every second of the movement. That slow descent forces your abs to fight gravity the whole way, creating way more muscle tension than just letting your legs drop. And here's the kicker. Proper form and controlled reps mean you can do less and get more. I know that sounds like clickbait, but it's true. 10 perfect reps with laser-focused form can stimulate your abs more effectively than 30 rushed ones. That's not just a time saver, it's a results multiplier. Your joints will also thank you, because sloppy reps often dump stress onto your lower back and hips instead of your abs. Over time, that's how people end up with injuries instead of a six-pack. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about burning calories? If I go faster, I'll burn more, right? Wrong. If you want cardio, do cardio. If you want abs, treat ab training like strength training. Build the muscle with controlled, targeted tension, and then reveal that muscle by handling your diet. Rushing through reps for the sake of calorie burn is like trying to build a sandcastle while the tide is coming in. You're working, but it's not the right work for the goal you want. The real magic of form beats reps is that it turns every set into a quality set. You stop just going through the motions and start wringing every ounce of value out of your workout. When you train like this, you don't leave gains on the table. Every rep becomes a rep that counts, and the more high-quality reps you rack up over time, the faster you'll see results. So if you want to make these 6 secret ab exercises actually work, you've got to slow down, strip away the ego of I can do 100 crunches, and instead focus on I can make 12 crunches feel like my core's been hit by a small truck. Because when you get the form right, the reps take care of themselves. You'll be sore in all the right places. Your midsection will start feeling rock solid. And when the body fat comes down, the abs that appear won't just be for show. They'll be functional, strong, and built to last. All right, so let's get into this idea of variety targeting all angles, because if you're only hammering one kind of ab exercise, you're basically building a half core, and yeah, that's not a thing you want. Imagine building a house and only putting up the front wall. Sure, it might look okay from one angle, but if you step to the side, total disaster. That's what happens when people only train the mirror muscles, the straight down the front six-pack, and ignore the sides, the deep stabilizers, and the lower ab region. You don't just end up with a weak, incomplete look, you end up with a core that can't actually handle real-life movements. The truth is, your abs aren't just one muscle. You've got the rectus abdominis, that's your six-pack, your obliques on the sides, and your transverse abdominis, the deep corset-like muscle that actually holds everything together. Each of these responds best to slightly different kinds of movement. So when you see someone doing only sit-ups or only planks, they're missing huge opportunities. A full, functional, and aesthetic core needs training from multiple angles and in multiple planes of motion. Think about it like sculpting. If you only chisel one face of the statue, it's never going to look finished. Same with your core. You need exercises that hit the front, flexion-based moves like reverse crunches, the sides, rotation and anti-rotation moves like side planks or Russian twists, and the deep stabilizers, isometric holds like planks and hollow body positions. Each one fills in a piece of the puzzle. The reason variety is so important isn't just to keep things interesting. This isn't about avoiding boredom. This is about making sure you're actually getting the best possible stimulus to grow and strengthen your abs. When you change the angle or type of movement, you hit different muscle fibers, stress the muscle in a slightly different way, and get better overall development. Even tiny tweaks, like doing a plank with one arm reaching out, can change which parts of your core fire up the most. Now, here's a mistake a lot of people make. They think variety means doing a completely different workout every day. Nope, that's called chaos. Chaos is fun if you're 5 years old and have a sugar rush, but in training, it just means you're never giving your body a consistent enough signal to adapt. Variety for abs should be structured. You have your go-to core exercises for different regions, and you rotate through them over time, not just randomly throw in whatever you saw on Instagram that morning. For example, let's say you're working out at home with no equipment. You might hit your lower abs with reverse crunches and flutter kicks, your obliques with side plank hip lifts, and your whole front core with hollow body holds. That's already a balanced attack, and it covers multiple angles. Over time, you can tweak it, maybe add plank with reach for anti-rotation strength, maybe slow motion mountain climbers for a stability challenge, but the base stays the same. Another reason variety works so well is fatigue distribution. If you only train one part of your abs all the time, that part is going to get smoked, but the rest will lag. By splitting your focus across the whole core, you can train more often without overtraining a single section. This is huge for progress because it means you can put in more total work over the week. Let's talk about the aesthetics for a second, because let's be honest, a lot of people care about how their abs look just as much as how they function. A full six-pack appearance doesn't just come from the front-facing muscle. The obliques add that V-taper into your waist, which makes the abs pop more. The transverse abdominis, even though you can't see it, pulls your stomach in tighter, giving you that flat, tight midsection look instead of the puffy abs you sometimes see on people who only do heavy front flexion work. Variety isn't just functional, it's aesthetic insurance. And here's the kicker. Training from different angles also reduces injury risk. Think about all the random ways you move in real life, twisting to grab something from the back seat of your car, bracing while carrying groceries, leaning sideways to pick up your kid. If you've only trained your abs to work in one plane of motion, you're setting yourself up for a tweak or strain the first time you move outside that comfort zone. A strong, well-rounded core keeps your spine safe and your body capable. Now, some people will argue, but can't I just do one really good ab exercise and get everything? Well, kind of, but not really. Some compound moves hit multiple core areas at once, like a slow hollow body to side hollow body shift. But even then, certain muscles will get more love than others. It's like trying to cook an entire 3-course meal with one pan. You can make it work, but it's not going to taste as good as when you use the right tools for the right job. The best approach: Pick a few pillar exercises for each core region and cycle them intelligently. You might spend a month focusing on plank variations for stability, then shift to more rotation work for the obliques, then circle back with added difficulty. This way, you're constantly giving your abs new challenges without abandoning the fundamentals that actually produce results. When you commit to variety with structure, you don't just end up with better-looking abs. You end up with a core that can handle anything. Your six-pack won't just be for show. It'll be backed up by strength, stability, and resilience from every angle. And that's the real secret. Training your abs like a complete muscle group, not just a front-facing ornament. Let's dig into this whole stability as a game-changer thing, because honestly, this is where most people completely underestimate what their core is supposed to do. Everybody thinks abs are just about crunching forward and getting that burn in the front of your stomach. But your core's main job isn't actually to move, it's to resist movement. Yeah, I know, sounds boring, but here's the reality. In day-to-day life, your abs are working way harder to stop your spine from bending, twisting, or collapsing than they are to actually pull your chest towards your knees. Stability training is basically teaching your core to lock down like a vault, no matter what the rest of your body is doing. And when you master that, that's when your abs go from decorative to functional armor. Here's the problem. A lot of people avoid stability work because it doesn't look as flashy. You tell someone, hey, hold this plank for 45 seconds with perfect form, and they're like, that's it? Yeah. Until 30 seconds in, when their body starts shaking like a leaf in a windstorm and they suddenly realize their abs, shoulders, glutes, and even their brain are in full panic mode. That's the magic of stability. It exposes every weakness. Now let's break down why stability training is such a cheat code for ab development. First, it forces you to engage all the muscles of your core at once. The front, the sides, the deep transverse abs, even your lower back muscles. When you're resisting movement, it's not just one section firing, it's the whole unit bracing as a team. That means more total muscle activation and over time, a denser, stronger midsection. Second, stability work hits your abs in a way dynamic exercises can't. When you're moving through reps, there's usually a brief moment where tension comes off the muscle, like at the top of a crunch. But with stability holds or anti-movement drills, the tension never lets up. You're locked in, and your abs are under constant pressure from start to finish. That constant tension is like a slow roast for your muscles. It builds endurance and toughness you just can't fake. One of the best examples of this is the plank with reach. On paper, it looks simple. Hold a plank, slowly reach one arm forward. But in practice, every inch you move that arm forward is like pulling a support beam out of a building and expecting it not to collapse. Your abs have to go into overdrive to keep your hips from swaying and your spine from twisting. That's anti-rotation in action, a key form of stability training that most people never even touch. And here's the kicker. Anti-rotation isn't just great for looks, it's what keeps you from tweaking your back when you twist in real life. Another big benefit of stability work is the carryover to everything else you do. Want to lift heavier in squats and deadlifts? A stable core is your foundation. Want to sprint faster, jump higher, or throw a punch with real power? Stability is the bridge that lets you transfer force from your lower body to your upper body without losing energy. Without it, you're basically a leaky bucket. All your power just spills out. And here's where most people mess it up. They think stability is just holding a plank longer. That's like thinking running is just moving your legs faster. There's more to it. You can progress stability training the same way you progress any other exercise. You make it harder by adding instability, like lifting a limb, by increasing the lever length, reaching further out, or by changing the base of support, narrowing your stance, using one arm, etc. Done right, stability training will humble you way faster than adding 100 crunches ever could. Take slow motion mountain climbers as another example. Most people blitz through them like they're late for work, turning it into a cardio session. But when you slow it down and focus on keeping your core perfectly still as you bring each knee forward, brutal. Your abs have to work to hold the line with every single rep, and your hip flexors get in on the fun too. It's stability and control rolled into one deceptively simple move. And yes, stability training also makes your abs look better. Here's why. The deeper core muscles you strengthen through stability act like an internal belt, pulling your waist in tighter. That gives your abs a flatter, more carved out look, the kind of midsection that looks on even when you're just standing there. Plus, the increased muscle density from holding sustained tension gives your abs that hard armor-plated feel. Now, I'm not saying you should ditch all dynamic ab work and only do stability stuff. You need both. But if your core routine is all crunches and leg raises, you're leaving massive gains both in strength and in aesthetics on the table. The best approach is to combine them. Hit your abs dynamically to work through a range of motion, then hit them statically or anti-rotationally to teach them how to hold that strength under pressure. Here's the final reason stability is such a game changer. It forces you to train with intent. You can't fake your way through a plank with perfect form. The second your mind drifts, your hips sag, your lower back arches, and the whole thing falls apart. Stability work demands focus, and that focus carries over into every other part of your training. You start moving with more control, more awareness, and that's when you really start making progress. Bottom line, if you want abs that aren't just for show, but actually do the job they were built for, you've got to train stability. It's the difference between looking strong and being strong. And when you combine that stability with good form and variety from every angle, that's when your core goes from kind of fit to, wow, this person could probably take a punch from a truck. All right, here's where we get brutally honest, because this last point, abs are made in the kitchen too, is the part people either ignore, argue with, or try to out-train. And I'm telling you right now, you can have the best ab workout program in the world, hit every rep with perfect form, target every angle, master stability like a pro. But if your diet's a mess, your abs are going to stay in the witness protection program, hiding under a layer of body fat, no matter how hard you train. See, your abs are already there. You don't have to build them from scratch like a new muscle group. Most people have a pretty solid rectus abdominis, just from years of moving around, lifting groceries, playing sports, and doing random activities. The problem isn't that you don't have abs, it's that they're covered. And the only way to uncover them is to get your body fat low enough for them to show. That's not something you can crunch your way into. That's diet, plain and simple. Now, before you panic and start Googling ab diets or celebrity six-pack secrets, let's make something clear. There's no magic food, no secret meal timing, no fat-burning smoothie that's going to reveal your abs overnight. It's just about consistently eating in a calorie deficit so your body burns stored fat for energy. Yes, that means tracking what you eat, whether that's through an app, a food journal, or some other method, because trying to eat healthy without paying attention to calories is like trying to save money without ever checking your bank account. You might think you're doing great, but you're probably overspending somewhere. Here's where people get tripped up. They do the workouts, they feel their abs burning, and they assume that burn means fat is melting away from their stomach. That's not how fat loss works. You can't spot reduce fat from one area by training that area. Doing crunches doesn't burn belly fat any more than doing curls burns fat from your arms. Fat loss happens across your whole body based on your genetics, and your diet determines whether it happens at all. The good news is, you don't have to eat like a rabbit or give up all the foods you love. What you do have to do is manage portion sizes, balance your protein intake, and be honest about your calorie balance. Protein is especially important here because it does two big things for you. It helps preserve the muscle you've built, including your abs, and it keeps you fuller for longer so you're less likely to overeat. Aiming for around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight is a good start for most people trying to get lean. Now let's talk about the mental trap people fall into. I'll just train more to burn off what I eat. This sounds logical until you realize how inefficient it is. You could eat one big slice of cake in 3 minutes, and it would take you an hour of intense exercise to burn those calories off. It's way easier to manage your intake than to try and exercise away the excess. Workouts are for building muscle strength and fitness. Diet is for controlling body fat. Another thing to keep in mind is patience. Dropping body fat to the level where your abs really pop takes time. For most people, visible abs start showing around 10–15% body fat for men and 16 to 22% for women. If you're above that range, you're going to have to stick with a calorie deficit for weeks, maybe months, to get there. The process is slow, and it should be, because losing fat too quickly usually means you're also losing muscle, feeling like garbage, and setting yourself up for rebound weight gain. Consistency is the secret sauce here. It's not about eating perfectly for 2 weeks and then going back to normal. It's about finding an eating style you can actually maintain long enough to see the results. That might mean swapping soda for water, cooking more meals at home, adding more vegetables, and cutting back on late-night snacks. Little, sustainable changes add up way faster than crash diets and detox nonsense. One last thing, don't confuse lean with healthy or strong. You can have abs and still be weak if you haven't built muscle. You can be strong and fit without visible abs if your body fat's a little higher. The goal here is balance. Train your abs hard and smart so they're built, then use diet to slowly peel away the layer covering them. When both pieces come together, that's when you get the kind of midsection that turns heads. And here's the best part. Once you've leaned down and the abs show, maintaining them isn't as hard as getting them in the first place. You can eat at maintenance calories, keep your training consistent, and enjoy life while staying relatively lean. But you'll never get to that maintenance phase if you don't first put in the work to dial in your diet while you're in a fat loss phase. So yeah, abs are built in the gym, but they're revealed in the kitchen. If you ignore that, you'll just be building a strong, invisible six-pack. And while that's great for your health and strength, if your goal is to actually see those abs in the mirror, you can't skip the nutrition side. Do both. Train like a beast, eat with intention, and you'll have the kind of core that doesn't just look good on Instagram, but feels rock solid in real life.